I've always had a broad love of fantasy gaming, but it seems like with social media algorithms, they're trying to pigeonhole you into as niche of a topic as possible. They just keep feeding you the same content they've confirmed you like, but my brain doesn't work like that at all. I love a wide range of different types of fantasy games, from genres to mediums, and I wanted to have a conversation about that today. And stick around if that describes you, or let me know in the comments below where you fall on the spectrum, because I may have first fallen in love with gaming through the original Legend of Zelda, and the first command-based role-playing game I played was Final Fantasy IV. But when I found out about Dungeons and Dragons, I could immediately see, how these are all connected, the lineage of everything, and I was immediately hooked. I love all of it. So I'm centering this conversation today around the ultimate guide to fantasy gaming. So let's take a look.
Excalipurr!
The Legend of Zelda and Final Fantasy have been my two favorite gaming series for basically my entire life. So when I saw this ultimate guide to fantasy gaming in the magazine section at Barnes & Noble, immediately caught my attention. We got Cloud, Squall, and Link all on the same cover of something, and then it's got other things I like too, like Dungeons and Dragons, board games, Magic the Gathering. I was all about it, and I wondered, why is it so unusual to see something like this? Why isn't fantasy gaming usually put together like this? So it was a little pricier than I may have liked, though they don't actually consider it a magazine. They consider it a book-a-zine, and I had to pick it up. You can see it's got really nice photography and graphic design throughout, and they just want to cover a wide swath of fantasy gaming. And apparently this is connected with the UK magazine Retro Gamer, published by Future. But it just makes sense to me. It seems strange to me how on the internet things are so isolated. It's like you wouldn't include Final Fantasy and Zelda in the same account. They're separate, but to me, I see the connections between everything. So it starts with the history of Final Fantasy. It's really nice. I'm all about that. And surprisingly, it even then transitions into the Final Fantasy trading card game, which, how often do you see anything about that? Pretty uncommon. And this is from 2021, so I'm still appreciating it all these years later. So then it jumps to Dungeons & Dragons. Now I am surprised they didn't start with Dungeons & Dragons first, because Dungeons & Dragons is the grandfather of all this. I mean, I've got plenty of Dungeons & Dragons. This is the oldest D&D game we have. See, published by TSR. Trisor, I'll pick this up for 10 cents at some kind of community college book sale a million years ago. See, they made the maps blue as a piracy protection, so you can't photocopy them. But when I found out about D&D, I was like, I want to learn all about this. D&D is the grandfather of all the fantasy games I love. So it makes complete sense to me that you would use a book like this to draw the connections between everything. It's not distinguishing just between tabletop or video game, or what we may consider a role-playing game now, versus, an action-adventure game. They're all connected. They're all different evolutions that have branched from the same source. You see, we get a really cool history of Zelda here as well. They're brave. They tackled the Zelda timeline. Keyforge, I know, is It's made by the same creator as Magic the Gathering, Richard Garfield. Never played it. Warhammer, I've had some friends who are into it. It looks really cool, but it's a whole thing to get into painting the miniatures and everything. But it's fun. I like to read about it, and I can see, you know, like D&D is a branch from wargaming. So the connections are there. It's cool to learn about. Descent, this game we do have, actually this exact edition of it. They mentioned a D&D board game too. It's fun. It's kind of like, you know, like a dungeon crawling role playing game, but you know, it's more streamlined in board game format. Now Magic the Gathering again, it's a different branch. And here's something I'm thinking about too, because Magic is all about crossovers right now. And the Magic card I grabbed here is a monster manual. That's cool, because usually you only get monster manuals in Dungeons and Dragons. And here we have a monster manual in Magic, because it's from the Dungeons and Dragons set. So, despite what social media algorithms may say about interest being very clearly defined, popularity of crossovers in Magic is proof that a lot of people like fantasy gaming across all of these different genres and mediums. And I do have my first Final Fantasy trading card game set here, but very soon Final Fantasy Magic the Gathering crossover is coming out, and that looks like it's set to be the biggest set in Magic history. So clearly people love Final Fantasy and Magic, so why can't we embrace it all together? So got a nice write-up on various Magic things. World of Warcraft also, I did try it with a friend once. I never got super into MMOs. I do want to get into FF14 sometime. I did play Final Fantasy 11 for a while, but it's impressive how popular World of Warcraft is, how long it's been going for. And see, even though I haven't played the game, like, this looks awesome to me. I love seeing the map, learning about the different world and the areas. So, still connection, still interest for me. Dice Forge, a couple board games here. It's cool. We got tons of different board games. Here's your write-up on some more retro, clearly D&D inspired games with this beholder right there. So I find that really interesting too, how games evolve from tabletop D&D to various computer games, console video games. Smart World, this game we do have, it's a lot of fun. Played it a lot. And then the Fighting Fantasy books too. Got a couple of these, and it's like a choose your own adventure book crossed with a solo RPG. You've got a character sheet, you can roll dice, and that determines where you go in the story. So a lot of fun. Again, an interesting branch that you could take fantasy gaming. And Fighting Fantasy was originally what they wanted to call Final Fantasy, and they couldn't because of this copyright already existing for this book series. So awesome that they included that. Here's Story of Mud, more history. It's fascinating to see how it evolved. The MUD is standing for Multi-User Dungeon. So I feel like if I was going to put this together, I probably would have tried to do it more chronologically, but here's that card game, but an online version. It's super popular. This Hero Quest I've wanted to try too, but you know, it's expensive to try to get to everything. But again, it's more of a board game streamlined role-playing experience. Gwent, Witcher, and Lord of the Rings 2. Again, major origin point, very important, seeing how everything descended from Tolkien, and it's going through a history of various video game adaptations of Lord of the Rings. I remember this Two Tower and Lord of the Rings game with co-op, very popular when they came out. I have one of those still. Here you go, Dark Souls, the board game, and I just love seeing games transcend mediums like that. Point out a Witcher adventure game also. Skyrim, huge. Played it mostly on the Xbox 360. I saw a tabletop of them playing this, but it's a board game based on like running the economy of Waterdeep and Dungeons & Dragons World. They even include East. That's cool. I would like to get into the series sometime. I only played one of the prequel ones that originally came out for PSP, but they look really fun too, and it goes through this whole history and timeline of it. So, I like learning about that too. Talisman. I was stuck in a 12-hour Talisman game once, kind of turned me off from that one a little. So there you have it. They apparently publish these bookazines, but I feel like this makes sense. Use this like the tree to get started, and then you can branch off in all the different directions of all the different types of fantasy games. Board games, tabletop role-playing games, video games, card games. I love them all. So let me know what you think. If you as excited about this book as I am, would you pick this one up? And let's keep the conversation going.
Excalipurr!